This week is Parshas Chukas. Chukas means a stature. We know there are three types of mitzvahs. There's Edus, Chukim, and Mishpatim. Edus means testimony, which is one type of mitzvah. Mishpatim are laws, judgment, and Chukim are statutes. What are these three general concepts? We have Mishpatim, the Torah says, Chazal tell us, Ilu lo nitna Torah chas v'shalom. If the Torah was not given, God forbid, Hayinu lemeidim, we would learn different things like tznius, gezel, how to act properly and not to steal from different animals, because these are things which are logical. These are things which our own intellect and our own logic says we must do it. If it wasn't for certain things in the Torah and everyone would be in chaos, the world wouldn't be a place which we can live in. This is called Mishpatim. Mishpatim are things which we do according to our own logic. And we have in the Torah, one of the parshas of the Torah, Elu Mishpatim. These are the judgments, the laws. Then we have the middle stage, which is called Edus. Edus means testimony. We say, Leman Tiskas Yom Tzeischa Me'eretz Mitzrayim, the day to remember the day of going out of Egypt. We have different things which remind us of different things which happened when we went out of Egypt. We had the Man, we had different things, we had Shabbos, Yom Tov. There are different mitzvahs which we're not sure if they are Edus or Mishpatim, like Kibud Avayim, to honor one's father and mother, which for one thing is something which a person has to do because they brought him in the world and they raised him and did everything. So for one thing it is only proper to give back. The other thing is, some people say it's Edus because even though we know we have to do certain things to give back and retaliate and give back to what we received. However, there are many laws and many halachas in Kibud Avayim, which are special halachas, which we know when we'll learn Kibud Avayim, how we have to go and not sit in the parents' chair and do all different things. As Chazal say, as much as we do, we will never do the proper mitzvah of Kibud Avayim. So these are Edus. Edus is the second one, which without the Torah we would not understand and we wouldn't do it. We are not obligated to do it all according to our own intellect. However, once Torah tells us to do it, we understand why we should do it and we understand how important it is and we have a reason to base it on. This is called Edus. The third type of mitzvah is called Chukim. Chukim means a stature. Stature means that you don't do it because of any reason. We don't understand it. There's Chazer, Basa B'cholav, there, Tumentara. There are different things which laws not to eat certain animals, laws not to do certain things, impurity. Why is this impure? Why is this not impure? We do not understand many of these things. We cannot understand it. And these are called Chukim. The only reason we do it is because God, the Eibusher, told us in Torah to do it. Now in Chukim itself, we have different types of Chukim. We have, very interesting, it says, Zos Chukas HaPesach. By the Korban Pesach, it says, Zos Chukas, this the stature of the Korban, the sacrifice of the Pesach. Here in our Torah, in our parsha, we say Zos Chukas HaTorah. It does not say Zos Chukas HaPorah. This is the Chukah of the Porah Duma. This is the stature of the Porah Duma, which will explain in a minute what is the stature of the Porah Duma. But it says Zos Chukas HaTorah. And the Alter Rebbe elaborates, why does it say Zos Chukas HaTorah? Why doesn't it say Zos Chukas HaPorah? And in short, he tells us that this is not just another stature. And this we can understand first what Chazal say, that it says there are two people which were the Chacham Mikol Adam, Moshe Rabbeinu and Shlomo Melech. And even though they understood all other statures, but Shlomo Melech says, "Achakma, I used my intellect, but this mitzvah is beyond me. I cannot understand it. This is too much for my intellect to understand." This is the chuk of Paraduma. And what else Chazal tell us? Moshe Rabbeinu is told, "Lecha, to you, ani megala, I will explain and I will reveal to you the inner meaning of Chukas Para, the Chukah of Paraduma." So therefore, we can explain simply, why does it say Zos Chukas Torah? Why does it say Zos Chuk? This is the stature of the Torah, not Zos Chukas Para, because this is the epitome of the concept of stature, which no one can understand. Even Moshe Rabbeinu only got it because Hashem told him. This is a simple reason. But Chassidus explains a lot deeper, and explains based on the second thing. We know Chukah is also the word Chakika. In Bechukosai Telechu, so the Alter Rebbe Parshas Bechukosai also says Nekuta Torah, and here it says, why did it say Bechukosai Telechu, with your statutes you will go, and then it's Mitzmosai Tishmoru, different things, because Chukah is also from the word Chakika. Chakika means engraved. And engraving itself, there are different levels of engraving. There's the way which we wrote the Torah, and we wrote the Torah, Dio al gabe klav. You write ink on a parchment. However, as much as these two become one, they unify and become one together. However, they are not really one being, because, as we know in the idea of sota, sometimes we have to erase the Torah. We put it into special water, and we erased it in order to go and save a Jewish family. So therefore, these two are not inseparable, they can be separated. So this is the same too in the nefesh, in the soul of the person. There is the way of the Torah, way it's connected, but there's still two entities. There's me and the Torah. There's the Torah and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Then there's a higher level, which is Chakika. Chakika means engraved. It's within the thing itself. And in that itself, it can be Chakika, which is the way usually you engrave something, you carve something inside, but then it causes a place that you cannot see. And here there's even a deeper level of Chakika, which we have by the tablets, by the two tablets, by Matan Torah. It says Chakika Minei Yabei. It was through and through, which is a higher level, which is totally a thing it's one entity with, so me and Hashem, in the metaphor, are so connected that it's not like two things, it's like one entity. The whole being of the Jew or the Torah is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when we say Zos Chukas HaTorah, we want to tell us something. We want to tell us that the whole Torah, not only this, but every mitzvah of the Torah, even the ones which we do, which are mishpatim, the ones which we do, which are edus, which we think we do because our understanding, our intellect, or we do it because we would do it almost anyway. However, this is not the reason we do it, but everything in the Torah we do only because this is the will of Hashem. And when we do it this way, this is called, in many places, called Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shamayim. Baruch Ata Hashem, Elokeinu Melech Olam. First you do the mitzvah because this Hashem commanded. Then he commanded Asher G'chanu b'mitzvos v'tzivonu. Then he commanded each mitzvah, different mitzvah, one which we understand. So therefore, each mitzvah has its special and unique thing, thought behind the mitzvah. Each mitzvah has its organ which it's connected with, as we know from different svarim. And from the other thing, there's the general mitzvah, which is the essence of the mitzvah,
which this is even deeper, which this is each mitzvah you do it because this is the Ratzon of Hashem. Or as it's mentioned in Chassidus, there's the Ratzon, there's the will, and then there's the Baal HaRatzon, there's the one which is the master of the will, which this is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So when we do a mitzvah, it's the first thing we have to do the mitzvah is because this is Hashem's Ratzon. Like we say in the Gemara, it says, Lama Kadma, why is there Shema before V'hayim Shemoah? That a person first Mekabel of Ol Malchus Shemayim, first he accepts upon himself the yoke of heaven, V'yacharkach, and afterwards he accepts upon himself the yoke of mitzvahs. In other words, there's the general concept of accepting upon yourself the Ol Malchus Shemayim, and then there's a second concept, all mitzvahs, each exact mitzvah. This is, so the Torah tells us the first thing, Zos Chukas HaTorah, that the whole Torah has to be done first and foremost because this is the will of Hashem. And you have to be totally bottled to the will of Hashem. You do it only because this is what Hashem wants. Then Hashem wants it to be also in the way of mishpatim, the way that we feel it and we take it within ourselves, as we'll explain in a few minutes. Now, why did the Torah choose this mitzvah? So we said before, it could be because this mitzvah is the one which is the only one which no one understood. Moshe Rabbeinu and Shlomo Melech, they were the brightest and smartest of all people. Even they didn't know it. Hashem had to reveal to Moshe Rabbeinu. So therefore, he chose this as the mitzvah. But the Chassidus explains deeper. The idea of Zos Chukas HaTorah, because the whole Torah has in it these two concepts. It's not just the idea that it is a stature, that is something which can't be understood, but there are different things in the mitzvah of the paraduma which we cannot understand at all. And not only that, they have the two different concepts which are the epitome and the reason of Torah mitzvahs. We have, Chazal tell us, Im Ratz Libcha, if a person has a yearning, Shuv Le'echad, or else a different Lashon is Shuv, go back, Lachar, go back to where you were beforehand. What is the idea? Each person constantly has to have this yearn, that the neshama yearns and wants to attach himself to Shamayim, to heaven, and then we say, it's all good and fine, but what is the tachlis? The tachlis is coming down into this world. We have Arba Nichnas to the Pardes. There were 4 people which went into the Pardes, into the deepest esoteric parts of the Torah. Rabbi Akiva, Ben Azai, Ben Zoma, and Acher. And we know each person, something happened to them, except for Rabbi Akiva. Acher went and he became Acher. Elisha ben Avu became Acher, and then he went and didn't believe in Torah mitzvahs. Ben Zoma, it says he went crazy. Ben Azai didn't want to be married. And then we had Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, it says, Nichnas b'sholem v'yotza b'sholem. So the Alter Rebbe explains, why did it say Nichnas b'sholem? He went in with peace and went out with peace. It should have said, and he went out peacefully. Because only because he went in with peace did he go out with peace. He realized that there's got to be a limit. He wants to yearn and be attached with Hashem, but he knows he has his limits. But what is the purpose and the tachlis of the world? To come back into the world and take all of your feelings and emotions and wanting to connect to Hashem and bringing it into the Torah mitzvahs, into the world itself. Because this is, like we said before in Shavuos, this is where Hashem wants to make a dwelling place. Therefore, this is what it says, Nichnas b'shalom. When he went in with peace. This is Rabbi Akiva. We have the 2 sons of Aaron, B'kavosim el Hashem v'yamusu. They went without any limitations. They just want to become closer and closer and closer. And Chazal say, B'krov HaYakadosh, I didn't, with my people which are close, I will be sanctified. And Moshe Rabbeinu thought it was him and Aaron, and it was the two sons of Aaron. So it shows that from one thing, they had the greatest and deepest love to Hashem, but a person has to realize that this is not the Tachlis. The Tachlis is coming back into the world. This is what we have, these two things. Now, where do we have it in the Parsha? We have, the Torah tells us that, in Parshas Chukas, what do you take? You take a parah. You take parah which goes on shor, which goes the idea of gevura, strength, and you take mayim, which is water, which is chesed. Not only so, these are the two opposites, and you have to put them together. Not only that, you take the parah, and you take the blood of the parah, which blood even shows on more, and you burn it, which shows on again gevuras. All the different ideas, the epitome of gevura, and then mayim chayim, live water, el keli, into a vessel, which is the idea of ratzon, which is gevura, going out of yourself, and change, going out of the world, shov, coming back into the world, which is chesed, coming down to the world, from high place to low place. Chesed is cold, which the opposite of fire. El keli means into a vessel. So you take these two extremes, and in that itself, all the different points of the different extremes, and you have to mix the two things together. From one thing, you have to go and burn it, and you have to do everything, and then it goes, and on the contrary, and this, you bring it into a keli, into a vessel. So therefore, the whole Torah which we have, also the idea, the Torah expounds on the shidduch of Eliezer when he went to find the shidduch for Yitzchak. Again, we find it speaks so much about it in many whole Masechtos in Shas are just based on one pasuk, because here goes the idea of putting man and woman together, which is the two Eish, and Ish is Eish Amayim. You put the two together, and Shechina Shur B'neim. With this, you have the Shechina, and then you have godliness. So this is the idea why the Torah chose this Zos Chukas HaTorah, not only because this is the only thing which cannot be understood to its entirety, but even more so because this has in it the extreme of Ratzon and the extreme of Shov. The extreme of going out of yourself, taking things and showing on Gvur, which is Para, an animal, Aduma, a red one. In other words, the epitome of the Re of Gvuras. Nothing was done with it. And you take it and you take it out of the camp. Everything. You take it, you burn it, which is again Gvura. And then with what do? You take the ash, and from the ash, you go and put it into the thing. Then what do? What does it do again? It goes and you, through this you can be metaher a tumas mes, which all things as much as we don't understand tuma, the tumas mes is the one thing, the hardest tuma. From the other thing, we find very interesting thing. The person that does it, so he becomes tummy. The person sprinkles and he goes and he can be matar someone else. The Kohen, he does it. The Kohen shows on chesed, and he takes this thing and he has to become tummy. Why? When he goes and he goes and purifies someone else. So it's mataras atmeim v'metamas atorim. Again, we have the paradox, the two opposites in this world. So all of these reasons, this why it says the concept of Zos Chukas HaTorah on this thing. And therefore, we take this idea of the Zos Chukas HaTorah, and we have to go and take it, the one which we cannot understand at all. So we shouldn't think that, well, there's some things, God's intellect is greater than ours. But again, it's intellectual. No, here there's It's pure stature. There's nothing else except for the pure stature. In other words, pure Kabbalah soul, pure Mesiras Nefesh. This is what it is. No reason, no understanding, nothing. And you do it there. When you do it, you don't do it because you have a feeling for it. You don't do it because you understand it. You don't do it because you want to do it. You do it, and you do it totally because this is the will of Hashem. And then we have to take this and take it into every mitzvah. Every mitzvah, what do? Only because it's the will of Hashem. This was says, Zos Chukas HaTorah, this stature, you have to take it in the whole Torah. So then when we do this concept, the approach to each mitzvah in Torah, we do in such a way, what happens? What happens is that the whole Torah is chakika, becomes not only two things, like the ink which is written on the parchment, but it becomes chakika minei, becomes one. Then, so why do we have to have the other mitzvahs, if that is the thing? If this is so great, so why do we have the other mitzvahs? We have to have the other mitzvahs because it is not enough that we just do it because Kabbalah soul. If we just do it because we are told to do, we accept upon the yoke, so then we don't do it with our whole self. We have to do it not only because our Kabbalah soul wants to do it, but we have to do it with it has to go through our intellect, our emotion, our feeling. Everything's got to be inside of it. So then that's what the idea of edus and mishpatim, that we do it because with our whole chayas, with our vitality, vigor. We do it because we feel also, and we want to attach ourselves. So we have in the two things, the idea of chakika, and then it comes into, like we say, Eile mishpatim, as we will explain in Parshas Mishpatim, lipnimiusam. It's got to come and become part of us, that it's got to become our whole being, not only because milmaila, because Hashem told us and therefore we accept everything, but because ourselves, we want to attach ourselves, we want to become one with Hashem. So this is the general reason why here it says, Zos Chukas HaTorah. It teaches us how we have to do it. The Rebbe explains, since next week is going to be also Yud Beis Tammuz, and we'll explain Yud Beis Tammuz in the connection with also Parshas Balak, but Yud Beis Tammuz is the concept of what? The previous Rebbe went into jail, and he went, and not only did he go Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice, but he took his chosen students, and he sent them, as the Rebbe says, it's even harder to send your own children on Mesiras Nefesh when you know they might not come back. And he went to Mesiras Nefesh, and for what? Not only for mitzvahs which are understood, not only for older people that they should learn Torah, but even for children which have not come to the level of chinuch yet, which you have no obligation to teach them. He went and taught them different things which are above the idea of, it's not conceptually, you have to do it for this reason. But as the Rebbe brings down from the Kesef Mishnah, the Kesef Mishnah says in Hilchas Yisodei HaTorah, he says, the concept of Mesiras Nefesh, that if one is a big tzaddik, so even a mitzvah which you have no idea of, no reason to go Mesiras Nefesh, which is teaching Torah for little children, making mikvahs, other than things which have no commandment to do, and surely no commandment to go Mesiras Nefesh. But if by miyu the mitzvah is the Ratzon of Hashem, you want to attach yourself with the Baal Ratzon, so then there's no limitations. Mesiras Nefesh, all these things have no value because you're doing it as Mesiras Nefesh of Avraham Avinu. He didn't look for Mesiras Nefesh. He did it. He wanted to bring the will of Hashem into this world. And by bringing the will of Hashem into this world, you knew that by Hashem there's no difference which mitzvah it is. The biggest mitzvah, smallest mitzvah. And this is what the Kesef Mishnah says. If it's a big tzaddik, so when he does every mitzvah, this is a Kiddush Hashem, And through this, he's Mekadesh Hashem. He goes and sanctifies Hashem's name, as we have in our parsha. Yan Shlo Dashani. You didn't sanctify Hashem's name. And this is why Moshe Rabbeinu did not take the people into Israel. So therefore, when it comes to Mesiras Nefesh, when it comes to Kiddush Hashem, there's no difference what the mitzvah is, or if it's really a mitzvah, or you can explain that you don't have to. There's certain mitzvahs, Yar, Gal Yavar, which you have to be killed. Some you don't have to. Some within 10. They're all the different general and these different klolim. However, when it comes to the Chakika, this is your whole being, then there's no limitations. Everything is this the will of Hashem, and you realize, like Chazal say, Bizman Hashmad, the time of decree that they want to uproot Judaism, Arkats the Masan, even the shoelaces of your shoes, this also is Mesiras Nefesh. So here he realized that this is the will of Hashem, and therefore he went to Mesiras Nefesh, the previous Rebbe, and he brought us all Mesiras Nefesh. So when we have this concept of Mesiras Nefesh, then there's, and especially if you are the tzaddik of the generation, then you have to go and give an example for other people. And this is why he did it. And because of this, we were saved and able to do Yiddishkeit. This is Parshas Chukas. Chukas has to be that the mitzvah and the Torah has to be part of my essence, my whole being, as one. And then on yourself, you'll never give up. You'll go all the way, Mesiras Nefesh, and we should be Zeicher through the Mesiras Nefesh, should have the Binyan Beis Hamikdash.